What if I told you? You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're not unmotivated. You're just stuck, trapped inside invisible loops that keep you tired, guilty, and unfulfilled. It's not that you don't want to do better. It's that your mind's been hijacked by patterns you never agreed to. So before you call yourself lazy again, let's talk about what's actually going on. We live in a world that loves to shame people for not being productive. You scroll through social media and see people waking up at 5 a.m., building empires, reading 50 books a year, and suddenly you feel small. You look at yourself and think, why can't I just be disciplined like that? But here's the truth. You don't lack discipline. You're fighting a psychological war against habits, emotions, and systems designed to drain your focus. You're not lazy. You're wired into a cycle that constantly pulls you away from your real potential. You wake up, check your phone, scroll a little, maybe grab breakfast, then check one more notification. Before you know it, the day's half gone, and you haven't done the one thing that actually mattered. You tell yourself, I'll start in an hour, then 2 hours, then tomorrow. Sound familiar? That's not laziness. That's your brain doing its job, protecting you from discomfort. Every meaningful action in life, working out, studying, building something, starts with resistance. And your brain hates resistance. It's wired for comfort, not progress. The comfort loop is when you confuse short-term relief with real rest. You think you're recharging, but you're actually escaping. And the more you escape, the more guilt you feel, which makes you seek even more comfort to avoid that guilt. It's a trap that feeds itself. When you catch yourself in that loop, don't fight the feeling of discomfort. Acknowledge it, then move anyway. The moment you act while still feeling resistance, you break the loop's power. That's how you retrain your brain, not by waiting for motivation, but by acting despite the lack of it. Discomfort isn't danger. It's direction. The things that scare you most are often the exact things that'll set you free. But there's another trap, and this one's even crueler: the self-judgment cycle. It starts when you mess up once. Skip a workout, miss a deadline, waste a day, and your mind immediately says, see, you're just lazy. You'll never change. That voice becomes your reality. You start believing it. And once you believe you're lazy, your brain stops looking for solutions. It just looks for proof. You replay your failures like evidence in a courtroom. Every time you fall short, you tell yourself, I knew it. I'm not built for this. Here's the truth. That's not awareness. That's mental punishment disguised as honesty. You're not being realistic. You're being cruel. No one ever bullied themselves into greatness. You can't shame yourself into consistency. It just makes your brain associate effort with pain. So, how do you escape this pattern? By replacing judgment with curiosity. When you fail, instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Ask, what triggered me? When did I lose focus? What emotion was I avoiding? You'll be shocked at what you discover. Most of the time, your so-called laziness is your body saying, I'm overwhelmed, or I don't know where to start. Once you treat yourself with compassion, your brain stops resisting the process. You don't need to be harder on yourself. You need to be kinder and more strategic. Self-compassion isn't weakness. It's emotional intelligence in action. Then comes the third trap, the dopamine trap. We live in a world that rewards distraction. Every app, every video, every scroll gives you a tiny hit of dopamine, that feel-good chemical. The more you get it from easy things, the less your brain values hard things. You're not lazy, you're overstimulated. Think about it. Reading one page of a book feels boring compared to a 10-second TikTok. Starting a business feels overwhelming compared to hitting refresh on Instagram. Our brains are addicted to low-effort rewards. And once you get used to that, real progress starts to feel impossible. This is why even simple tasks, like answering an email or folding laundry, feel unbearable. Your brain isn't used to delayed gratification. It's used to constant stimulation. So, how do you fight back? You reset your dopamine baseline. Start by cutting one small dopamine source. Just one. Maybe no phone for the first 30 minutes of your morning, or no YouTube autoplay after midnight. You'll feel restless at first. That's withdrawal. But within a few days, your focus returns. You start noticing silence again. You think deeper. You breathe easier. You don't need a total detox, just a pattern break. Because once you start getting dopamine from growth instead of escape, you'll realize productivity was never your problem. It was your environment. You can't out-discipline addiction. You have to rewire it. But even when you fix your environment, there's another enemy, the overwhelm loop. This one happens when you want to change everything at once. You want to fix your sleep, your diet, your habits, your finances, your mindset, all in 1 week. You start with good intentions, but soon you realize the mountain's too big, and you give up. That's not laziness. That's overload. Your brain isn't designed for massive change. It's designed for survival. When it sees too many moving parts, it shuts down. It's not saying I don't care. It's saying I can't handle this. The fix is simple. Shrink your focus. Don't build the perfect system. Build the first domino. If your room's a mess, just clean the desk. If you're unfit, don't plan a 6-day workout. Just walk for 10 minutes. The goal isn't perfection. It's momentum. Because momentum creates motivation, not the other way around. Once you start, even small wins create dopamine in the right direction. And soon you realize you never needed a new life. You just needed a new start. You don't need a massive plan. You just need one clear action repeated daily. And finally, the biggest trap of all, the identity trap. This one is dangerous because it becomes who you think you are. You start saying things like, I'm just not a morning person. I've always been lazy. I'm not consistent like other people. Every time you say those words, you're programming your subconscious. Your brain listens. It builds your reality around that identity. Soon you stop trying, because you believe it's just not who you are. But here's the truth. Identity is not permanent. It's trained behavior, repeated enough times that it becomes belief. Think about it. You weren't born lazy. You weren't born distracted. You learned it. From habits, from people, from pain. And if you learned it, you can unlearn it. The fastest way to change your life is not through motivation. It's through identity shifts. Instead of saying, I want to be productive, say, I'm becoming the kind of person who does what needs to be done. Your brain will look for evidence to support that. Small actions build that identity. One healthy meal, one finished task, one early wake up. Each one whispers to your subconscious, this is who I am now. You can't build a new life with an old identity. So let's put this all together. You're not lazy. You're just trapped in patterns that make you feel that way. You fall into comfort loops that keep you safe but stagnant. You punish yourself instead of learning. You chase dopamine that rewards distraction. You overwhelm yourself with unrealistic goals. And you label yourself with an identity that doesn't serve you. But none of those are permanent. They're just mental habits, and habits can be rewired. The real battle isn't against laziness. It's against the story you've been telling yourself about who you are. You're not unmotivated. You're just unaligned. And the moment you start acting from clarity instead of shame, everything changes. So before you close this video, I want you to do one thing. Pick one toxic pattern you recognize today. Just one. And write in the comments. I'm breaking this pattern starting today. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Because once you name the pattern, you weaken its hold. And once you act on it, you take your power back. If this hit home for you, comment and share it with someone who needs to hear they're not broken. And remember, laziness isn't your identity. It's just a signal that it's time to wake up and take control of your story.